again. We're Karen from Divorce Workshop. I'm back for another live. Today we have Amy Capello, award-winning life coach, who's going to talk to us about the humor in divorce. I'm just going to have her on. Also, on. So we're just waiting for Amy to join. Hello, everybody. Try Amy one more time. Oh, there's Amy. Anyways, our Just Separated Divorce Workbook is coming out next Tuesday, October 22nd. We're super excited. We've worked on it for over 2.5 years, and we hope it can help everybody. If you want to find out more, just reach out to me. You can DM or you can email Karen@divorceworkshop.com. Or next week, look on Amazon, Just Separated Workbook for your separation and divorce. So hi, Amy. Having a hard time getting on? There. Oh, unable. Let's try it one more time. There. Amy, I can't see you. Hey, Amy, it's a black screen. I don't know if you've covered up or something. Hi, everybody. Just waiting for Amy to try to get back on. This always happens sometimes with lives. Never know what you're going to get. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments for Amy, as we wait for her to come on about the humor in divorce, just put them in the comment section and we will answer them. Oh, let's try this again. Amy and I've had another live that didn't go very well either with hers on LinkedIn. I think it's you and I, Amy, because remember when we were doing yours and it was the same thing on LinkedIn?
It was. Actually, I was getting my laptop set up just a few minutes before we were set to go start, and the Wi-Fi completely shut down on the laptop, and I got it back up, and it still wouldn't connect. So I'm like, let me try my phone, and it's still having issues. So,
oh my goodness,
it's the two of us.
I'm looking to a black screen, going, okay, Amy.
I see myself, but not you. So who knows?
Oh, anyway. Well, I'm glad to have you back on. Today we have an interesting topic, but first, before we start that, let's introduce yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So I see Alexis popped in too. Hey, Alexis, I'm glad that you're here. So I am Amy with Pure Joy Life Coaching. I live in Savannah, Georgia, on the east coast of the U.S., down in the south, close to Florida. And I have been in business for about 5 years. I work with female entrepreneurs to try and help them make sure that they are not overloading their plates and that they can find joy in their business and in their personal life.
Yeah, that's definitely needed, right?
For sure.
Mm-hmm. So we met because of your split boxes, right? And
Yeah.
that was your live on before, and you can
Mhm.
talk about that if you want again, just to remind everybody. But today you want to talk about the humor in divorce. And
Absolutely.
I had to tell you, Amy, I have been racking my brains out trying to find some, like, in my own life, my own personal story of humor
Mhm.
in it, right? Because it's
Right.
been a very exhausting, hi, Carol. It's been a very exhausting divorce journey for me.
Mm.
So maybe if you can tell us, explain to us, and then I'll probably be able to figure out some humor that I probably missed at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I there's a story that I have heard my entire life. And I hope that my mom would be okay with me sharing this story, but I'm pretty sure she would because she shares it with everybody. So, when my mom was in labor with me, she had been in labor for like ever, and she was in a lot of pain. It was not an easy labor. And my dad was in the hospital with her and was like rooting her on. But I mean, we're talking like over 24 hours, right, of dealing with being in labor. And my mom will not let him forget. Next year, they will have been married for 50 years. That while she was in labor, he was cracking jokes with the nurses. She still brings it up. So I say that to say maybe not everybody finds humor in the same places and
Mhm.
spaces as everybody else. And there's no right or wrong, and you don't need to force it in either direction. But it is a little bit freeing sometimes to remember the fact that it's okay to
Mhm.
still laugh, find joy, and remember the lighter sides of life, even when we're going through heavy and difficult times, whether that's divorce or anything else. That sometimes an injection of humor, however ill-timed or maybe not appropriate, can still bring a little brevity to the situation and help us navigate that difficult situation overall.
Yeah, and I think I fell asleep during my wife's labor. Oh boy. Oh, oh dear.
You
Yeah,
win the
yeah.
cake on that one. You win the cake.
Yeah. Good one. Save your divorce. That's a memorable moment. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah, it's good. I remember if to say that, like I remember when I separated in February, and I remember I went up north with my girls, and we all had family up there, and I
Mhm.
remember we played a board game, and I had not laughed so hard in my life.
Yes.
And I remember
Yes.
that as a flashbulb moment, like a moment where I'm like, it felt so good, and
Yeah,
it's so freeing. So I
absolutely.
thought about that because I don't think I had laughed like that in a
Mm.
long time.
Yeah, yeah. I think you brought up a good point there because especially when we're talking specifically about divorce and going through something, this is a it's a process, right? It's a process. If we're the ones that have asked for the divorce, like I did for mine, it took months, years,
Hmm.
even sometimes to get to the point that you even ask for it.
Hmm.
And then the actual going through of the process of divorce, depending on where you live, can be a really long time as well. And that season can be so heavy
Hmm.
that even thinking about having these these moments of laughter or joy or whatever can feel very counter to the mood and the vibe of everything that you're going through. But if that does get through, if you allow that little bit of humor through that crack to get through, what a contrast, what
Hmm.
a dichotomy and a sense of relief to be able to have some humor even through a really difficult time. It almost feels that much better and that much more deep
Hmm.
joy because it has been so long.
And I think we got to remember, right? Like when you divorce, there's many different emotions.
Yeah.
Just like, everybody knows I'm a thanatologist and I deal a lot with grief, and humor even after a death loss can happen. Sometimes society will judge that. But even for divorce, I mean, there can be lighter moments, right?
Yeah.
That are kind of funny, and to allow it too, right?
Right, right, exactly. Even with maybe people that you wouldn't expect, you know? Um, I mean, it would have to be the right person in the right situation, of course,
Mhm.
but even with the person that you're divorcing, if it's a moment of like, okay, well, I don't know what else we're gonna do. We like not in a sarcastic way, but like we could just take it and I don't know, take a saw to it and cut it down the middle, like we saw in that movie or whatever, like
Hmm. Hmm.
even just cracking a joke about like this really sucks and this is really hard, but also like we're both gonna be okay. We're
Hmm.
both gonna get through this, and how silly that we even need to figure out how to split the sofa, and just
Hmm.
allowing it to be funny instead of
Hmm.
an overwhelming burden, you know?
Yeah, I just read that I fell asleep, but we're still married
But we're
because
still
she's
married, yeah.
yeah, because she's really she really loves you.
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I think that transcends love. I think that's like a deep dedication.
Dedication. She'll always have it on you, though. She'll always have it on you, though. Yeah.
Yeah, just like my mom. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, there's so many partners that don't even show up for their the woman's
Hmm.
giving birth process. That the fact that you were there is great, but also the creation of life and bringing the baby from inside to outside is a really big deal. It's a really big deal. You don't want to snooze on that job.
Yeah. He says, to be fair, I was up all night with her from 3 p.m.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just keeps getting better, and I lost her check at the hospital.
Listen, whatever that woman has asked for, I don't care.
Yeah,
She gets it. That's how
yeah.
you save your divorce. That's how you do that. That's so funny. I love it.
He bought
I
her a new
absolutely
jacket.
love it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's also a reevaluation process as well when you're going through big things like this.
Hmm.
I have lately been reevaluating some of my own priorities and alignments and looking at my business and my personal life. And I'm starting a challenge on Monday called the Zero F's Given Challenge. Insert appropriate words. We just don't know who all is around. But, I think that you have to kind of take an assessment of like, where am I going to give my energy? What am I going to care
Hmm.
about? What am I not going to care about? Like, am I going to make a mountain out of a molehill on something that's really not that serious? Or can I find humor in going through difficult processes? Because that is on our
Hmm.
shoulders. That's up to us. No one else is making it worse or better on how we respond to it and how we choose to feel about it. I have a quote hanging in my hallway. I believe it's Abraham Lincoln that a person will be just about as happy as they choose to be.
Hmm.
And there's so much truth and wisdom in that.
Hmm.
And choosing what F's you give and what F's you don't give, and making sure that you are keeping it as light as possible for your own sanity is going to be a fabulous way to navigate difficult situations. You
Yeah.
looked at fairy tales to find your humor,
Yeah.
Carol. That's cool. That's very cool. I like that.
Carol is a great artist of divorce as well. I've been trying to get her on lives for a while, haven't I, Carol? Because she's also very talented. Um,
That's amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Well, she's
she's
participating in this live just through the comments. So,
yeah,
baby steps, baby steps.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
Yeah.
was also wondering if there was the aspect of, after you divorce, after a
Yeah.
while, you look back and see the humorous, like look at it and going, wow, wasn't that crazy? And wasn't that kind of funny that we did that? Like type of stuff like that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that's true in so many parts of our life. Hindsight is
Hmm.
always 2020, right? We have the clearest visions when we're looking backwards. And I may be unique in this and I may be uncommon in this, but I tend to journal and document and write out like the good, the bad, and the ugly of
Hmm.
my life.
Hmm.
All because it all is important, it all has value, and it all has meaning. And maybe I'll go through something similarly difficult at a different season of my life, but be able to see how I've grown or
Hmm.
how that thing that really felt serious that first time, like I see how it isn't this time, and I can find some humor and some joy in that
Hmm.
process, or
Hmm.
what nuggets of wisdom had I learned from that that
Hmm.
I can take
Hmm.
into the next iteration of whatever that challenge looks
Hmm.
like.
Hmm. Yeah, we often use narrative therapy type to,
Oh, beautiful.
yeah, so you write uninhibited and you write however you want, and it all comes out, whether that's what, laughter or sadness or anger. And the thing about that is, as you said, you can reread it after and think, wow, how far I've actually come.
Right.
And
That's
it's
right.
it's a really good tool. And for
Yeah.
some, like in your split box, right? Like,
Mhm, mhm.
you can burn it
Yeah.
you're not liable,
Right.
Amy, but you can
Right.
burn it, right? You can do whatever you want with it, right? Like
Right.
that
Right.
can be a healing thing.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have
So if you look, that's another
you,
thing. Pardon
yeah,
me?
I'm so sorry, but I would love to ask this. So, have you done any prompts or any writing like this where you have prompts about humor and lightness and joy through difficult processes? Because that would be fascinating.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
You have to be so I'm in my two worlds, right? I'm in divorce world and grief world, and we have to
Mhm.
be very mindful in the grief world because depending where they're
Mhm.
at, um, and it's almost the same in the acute stages of divorce world too. So it would be more in the recovery, right? And that's why I'm saying, like, when you're in the recovery mode and you're thinking of all the silly things that happened in the divorce or even in
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
marriage that is kind of really funny, right? Like, you know what
Right.
I mean? That you can find
Yeah.
humor, um, which I think is just another good healing property, right?
I agree.
Um,
I agree. Yeah. Even when we're choosing to leave, a marriage, it didn't work out. It doesn't often mean that every moment of the entire process was bad. There were happy
mhm,
times and joyful times and funny times and silly times and lighthearted times and honoring those for what they are, leaving them where they are, not to, bring up anything that doesn't need to be brought up, but at least recognizing and honoring that side of the coin. But yeah, hopefully I won't be getting divorced again. I'm married in a second marriage now, but if I ever do, I can see the value of even writing out with some journal prompts like, I found joy in my day here. It doesn't have to be related to the process or
mhm,
the person,
mhm,
just like finding joy in that day. Or I found this really, really, really funny today. I put a list out on my personal Facebook yesterday. I didn't do it on Pure Joyce, but I did send it to my VIP list where I just spent some time yesterday just brainstorming joy, things that bring me joy. And one of them this is terrible. I'm embarrassed to say this out. Um, that I remember a situation when I was in college and my best friend and I were walking on campus and we got to a four-way intersection at a light and we were going to cross the street and this guy came up on a bicycle, not a motorcycle, a bicycle, and he was taking the corner and he decided to cut through the leaves and it was fall and a lot of the leaves had fallen to the ground and they were a little bit wet and he totally wiped out. And she and I just laughed our butts off. And I know that's terrible. He was not hurt. He was okay. We made sure we checked on him. But, even the little just
mhm,
unexpected things that have you in stitches sometimes, but allowing yourself to have the grace that, like, yeah, today might have been a bad day or I might be in a hard season or a tough time, but like I could still
mhm,
laugh at the guy that fell on the
mhm,
bike. Maybe that's not the best thing to be laughing at, but it's okay. You have permission to, find joy and find humor, even through those difficult things. And I just saw where Carol wrote that your very wise therapist suggested that you keep a journal, but you did yours with illustrations.
mhm,
I think that's beautiful.
mhm. Yeah.
That's absolutely beautiful. I love that. So it doesn't have to look cookie cutter for every
Mm.
every person by any
No,
means.
what I like about what you're saying too, though, like, and why it's a good topic to talk about, is because if we focus solely on the divorce,
Mm,
and we know it's so overwhelming, but if we just focus on the D word, then we can't focus on ever growing around the
right,
divorce, right? So
right.
we have an exercise and just separated in the recovery section. It's called your
Mhm,
garden, and it's like
mhm,
if you just focus on the D in your the divorce and nothing else comes
right,
in your garden, it's going to be a plain old rock garden, right?
right, right.
So if you fill up moments or things you want to do or whatever, and you start filling the garden with other things than
Mhm,
just focusing solely on the divorce, it can
mhm,
help you start make different meaning in life, right? And so I think, even writing down, I had a really funny thing happen today, right? Because
mhm,
we all have
mhm.
funny things that can happen from like day to day or
Yeah,
even, you know,
yeah.
even if you have kids, like they can be really funny, right? And
Yes,
so,
yes.
right? So, I think laughter is, it's that old cliche, right? Laughter's a good medicine, but
Yeah.
I think I like what you're saying is the joy part too, like trying to find snippets in a really tough time of something
Mhm,
that can help
mhm.
you, you know, become less focused on, because divorce is overwhelming,
Right.
right? So that's why I love this topic, because it is like I
Yeah.
struggled trying to find it,
Yeah.
but I totally
Yeah.
understand, because it is as you said, if you find that silver lining in it,
Yeah.
it, it can help make things a little bit easier. I
Absolutely. Absolutely. My therapist has told me this for years, and I've repeated it 1,000 times. She probably should get some kind of royalty from me at this point, but um, what you feed grows.
Mhm,
And it's just exactly the garden
mhm,
analogy, right? Like you're going to be pouring water, your time, your energy, your effort, your thoughts, your money into something
mhm,
that it gets spent every day. Your time gets spent, your energy gets spent, your money gets spent, your thoughts get spent every day. So where are you choosing to spend them? And wherever you are spending that currency,
mhm,
it's going to grow. So if you choose to spend it on the woe is me and the reflection on everything that went wrong and how it's not going to be what you thought it was going to be or whatever, that feeling is going to continue to grow. And if you spend whatever you're able to on finding the joy, finding the humor, finding there's a, I can't remember if we talked about him, Karen. There's a guy, Shahrazad Shamin. He wrote a book called Positive Intelligence, and actually did a training with him last year, about a year ago, and it's just phenomenal. But he teaches this concept that no matter what happens, it's not necessarily good or bad, but in whatever happens, there's a gift and an opportunity, right?
mhm,
And it's just a matter of finding it. And some things are a lot harder than others, but you can take something very simple. I'm fostering a cat right now. He's in the other room, and he sliced my nose last week, and he just
mhm,
sliced my finger about 10 minutes before we went live, and I was bleeding all over the place. And so, like, I'm just going to take that as an example, right? The gift and the opportunity, right? The gift here is that I'm fostering a kitten.
mhm,
I lost my 17-year-old cat in August, and I haven't had to deal with a little kitten lately, right? And so the gift of getting to experience that again, and then the opportunity. I got up. It got me out of my chair. I got to stretch my legs. I got to walk. I
mhm.
got to move, put a little Neosporin on it, and come back before I sat down, which probably helped me be better focused and engaged in what we were doing and less focused on, the internet not working. And so no matter what you're going through, there's a gift and there's an opportunity.
Mhm.
A lot of times that opportunity can be for joy and can
Mhm.
be for humor and can be for lightheartedness, even if it seems
It's
unlikely.
a really good, like a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're in the heavy, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
even if you're in the heavy, you could try to just think, you know, once a day,
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
Because I grew a lot since my divorce,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you had asked me 6 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, would I have been able to do what you and I are doing? Absolutely not, right?
Of
So
course.
yeah. So there's been a lot of growth on my part. So that's the
Yeah.
gift, right?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and taking the courage to leave, right? Like that is
Mhm.
also, right? So, yeah, you're right. I like that. I've never heard of that one. I really like that one.
Yeah, it's an amazing book. I would recommend it to anybody. It's got a lot of really, really interesting concepts in there. But if you can always look at, whatever it is that's happening, knowing that somewhere, it doesn't even matter how horrible it is, your house burns down, there's a gift and an opportunity in
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if someone experiences a trauma, of course, that process of being able to reflect to that gift and opportunity might not happen for a while, and of course, but it does exist in everything that happens, and so, you know, um, we're all doing the best that we can
Mm-hmm.
with the life that we're given.
Mm-hmm.
And I when I got diagnosed with stage 3 cancer when I was 38,
Mm-hmm.
6 months married. I had a 6-year-old son, and I was interviewed a couple of years ago by Susan G. Komen, and the guy doing the interview, he was like, "How did you like? You seem so happy, you
Mm-hmm.
know?" I was like, "Well, I mean, you have a choice,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes situations are not going to change. Like I was going to go through cancer, it just was a fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now my treatment plan, I might be able to choose a little bit, and I had a rare cancer, so I actually had no choice over my treatment plan. It was either do this or
Mm-hmm.
nothing. Um, but going through a divorce, even if you're the one that you didn't want to go through the
Mm-hmm.
divorce, right? Like, but it's going to happen. It's still happening. And so you have a choice. Do you want to go through it miserable, or do you want to go through it trying to find a little bit of laughter along the way,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because either way, it's going to happen. So when you're able and when that can happen for you, leaning into it and allowing it to will never be the wrong thing.
Yeah. And you're a true inspiration, right?
Oh, well, thank you. There are lots of people that go through my
Mm-hmm.
diagnosis, and lots of
Mm-hmm.
people that go through it. But I am deeply, deeply grateful for the support system that was there for me and that
Mm-hmm.
took me through that process so that I could have more moments of joy and more moments of laughter, and that it was easier for me to be able to choose that. So, very grateful for my son's teachers and my family and my friends. It definitely made a difference, but they were the inspiration to me to be able to choose that joy. So shout out goes to
Right.
them.
But also that, is in my field too, the support systems are essential.
Yeah.
Whether you're going through a health crisis, a divorce, a cohabitation breakup, it doesn't have to be, any type of loss,
Yeah.
death loss, obviously.
Yeah.
The better support systems you have, the better they'll fare. You'll fare, right? It's just we are creatures that need support. So I'm glad you've got it before and giving it now to others, right?
Yes, yes, that's my hope. That's my hope for sure.
Let me just read what Carol. I chose to look at how I got here to figure and understand myself. The journey
Mm,
inward is full of gifts. Yeah,
mm, beautiful.
very. Yeah, I was right. Good, 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 Carol. That's correct.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up this humor and divorce?
No, other than just thank you so much for having the conversation and putting it out there in the world and giving permission to the people that are tuning in and going to watch this on replay that it's okay. It's okay
Yeah,
to
I
have
think
hard times and the good times.
I think that's great because, it can be so serious. And
Yes.
so this was nice to have a little bit more of a lighter topic in a
Absolutely.
heavy field of divorce and grief. So I appreciate you for coming on. And before we go, if you have any questions for Amy, just let me know, comment. Otherwise, you have something coming up next week?
Yeah, actually, so I'm starting, it's totally free and open to anybody, but I'm doing a 5-day check-in called the Zero F's Given Challenge, just helping on finding focus and clarity and making sure that we are taking care of ourselves because I know we're about to go through the crazy holiday season. So I always like to make sure that we're checking in with ourselves before everything just goes on autopilot and we get exhausted.
And that's at Pure Life Coaching?
Yep. So they can head over to Pure Joy Life Coaching
Pure
Instagram that
Joy.
I'm doing the live on right now, and or DM me your email. I'll make sure that you get them next week. It's just a one email a day with a like 3 to 5 minute video. Super easy.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Amy, as usual, it was great to have you on, and
As well.
I hope to have you on sometime in the future.
Absolutely.
And take care, everybody, and thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
Okay. Y'all
Bye,
take
Amy.
care. Bye.